Did you hear about us striking Hezbollah base? Yes, I did hear about us striking Hezbollah base. I'm not. Wait, I heard about Israel striking and killing a Hezbollah commander. We struck a Hezbollah base as well. America, Hezbollah. U.S. retaliates at 3 American servicemen were injured by Khatib Hezbollah attack. Oh yeah, one of these. Where do we do it? In Iraq? Okay, well, I mean, this has been a back and forth that's been going on for a while. So how the Biden administration seems to be handling these types of attacks, this isn't the start of attacks on American troops in the Middle East, obviously. After the Soleimani killing, for example, there were multiple strikes on American bases that injured American service personnel during the Trump administration. So this isn't a completely new phenomenon. But what a lot of these militias will do, some of it is maybe to either gain notoriety, you know, to get kind of street cred, or be at the orders of a higher operator like Iran or someone else, or for, you know, just pure ideological reason, whatever reason. Different militias in the region, many of them primarily aligned with the Iranians, will take pot shots at American bases with rockets, especially around a diplomatic environment or some military environment that's like tense, that seems to escalate. For example, after the killing of Soleimani, we had more strikes on American bases. Now with the American backing of the Israeli operation in Gaza, I want to say American backing, I don't mean that is to say Joe Biden saying you should keep going and this invasion's a brilliant idea, because we don't have any evidence he said that. In fact, we have evidence to the contrary. But it does mean that American bombs are being used to bomb Gaza. And whether or not, you know, Joe Biden says bomb them a little less hard, the Arab world generally, including many of the Iranian-backed militias, still see the United States bombs and weapons being used in the war, and the United States president using presidential drawdown authority to use American stockpiles to send to the Israelis, as well as the fact that $12.5 billion in aid was included in that aid package, the one with Ukraine aid, Taiwan aid, all that. And out of all of the controversy debating the aid package, the fact that Israel aid was part of it was never like part of the controversy for the vast majority of American politicians outside of, and I just know this because I know some of the lobbyists that talk to these politicians, outside of a few of the progressive candidates and progressive like politicians who are upset about this being tied together. Anyway, every single time there's one of these strikes that happens on these bases, depending on the severity of the strike, Joe Biden will be given a list of options to respond, and he will go through those options and choose one. Those options range from like least severe, which means like, no, that was very bad, all the way to we're going to kill 50 of their boys and homies, and we're going to teabag them afterwards, right? It's a varied list of options. And so when this happens, the Biden administration wants to give some response, because if they give no response, that could encourage other actors in the region to do it, because then they could feel like they operate with no consequence, and then American forces have no credibility in the region, further endangering American personnel. At least that's the theory behind it. And so then Joe Biden chooses one of the options. And it seems that the option he chose this time, after a Hezbollah attack on an American base in Iraq, was to fuck up some of their homies. Anyway, there's the full explanation about how this process plays out. This isn't the first time it's happened since the start of the war between Israel and Hamas, and it probably won't be the last time. Iran vows revenge after Israel kills top military commander in Syria. I hope to God they don't fucking bomb us because of this. This is one thing I keep talking about, and I haven't seen anybody else bringing this up. The only other person I actually saw bringing this up really on Twitter was Nuance Bro of all fucking people. And that is, the further the Israelis piss everybody off with our weapons, the more people in the region are going to be pissed off. And as much as we can try to control states like Saudi Arabia or Jordan or these countries that, you know, want to keep a positive relationship with the United States, so they're not going to like bomb us or attack us, they're probably not even going to bomb or attack Israel. But the people of those nations are getting angrier and angrier and angrier. And it's not like in the Middle East, you know, civilians taking like arms and violence into their own hands, and extremists doing that, non-government extremists doing that is anything new. So I was immediately worried after the Israeli campaign started in Gaza about the safety of American personnel, which, I mean, we're seeing they are getting bombed. But that often isn't discussed about when we're talking about the risk of this war escalating and spiraling. Let me put it this way: we've in the war between Israel and Gaza and Hamas, in the war that's been going on for like 2.5 months, more American personnel have been injured than in the last 2 years of supporting Ukraine. And there's risks involved in this war specifically that is just not the same when it comes to the war in Ukraine. I would also say there's more potential points for escalation too, for it to become regional. Anyway, where were we? Oh yes, an Israeli airstrike Monday in a Damascus neighborhood killed a high-ranking Iranian general, Iranian state media said. Iranian officials and allied militant groups in the region vowed revenge for the killing. This act is a sign of the Zionist regime's frustration and weakness in the region, for which it will certainly pay the... What the fuck does that mean? I'm sorry, that's the stupidest thing I ever heard in my fucking life. Could you imagine, like, fucking after 9/11, George Bush comes out and he says, or after any like a major attack on the nation, right? Or like any attack, like, I don't know, the assassin, like, let's say like Hillary Clinton got sniped or Mark Milley got sniped or something like that happened. It was so crazy. In your response to that is, wow, the killing of our high-ranking officials sure show how weak our enemy is. At the same time that enemy is invading and conquering, as of right now, Gaza. I mean, it's not even like believable propaganda. Like if I was them, it would look. I don't want to tell the Iranians how to do good propaganda. They're very good at propaganda, right? Unless they're talking to somebody who has a semi-favorable view of Jewish people, then they're not very good at propaganda. But besides them, they're very good at propaganda. But if I was them, I'd lean a lot more into, you know, Israel is escalating its violence in Gaza, killing all these people, doing all this, and now they escalate with more violence in the region, bombing across borders with no respect for international law as it disregards the UN's calls for ceasefire. Like, instead of, no, you killing our guy just shows that you're weak as we allow you to invade Gaza. It's just stupid. This is a sign of Zionist regime's frustration and weakness in the region. Again, it just makes no fucking sense. For which it will certainly pay the price. Could you imagine American president, like, there's an assassination and kills fucking Mark Milley, and we knew the Chinese did it, and the president's response, Biden came out and he said, well, that just shows that that those guys are a bunch of malarkey. That just shows that those guys got a limp wrists, as we used to say in Scranton, or whatever he would say. It would be ridiculous. It's just stupid propaganda. The apparent killing of Syed Razi Mousavi, a longtime advisor of the Iranian paramilitary Revolutionary Guard in Syria, comes amid ongoing fears of the Israel-Hamas war sparking a regional spillover. The Israeli military obviously has a job to protect the security interests of Israel, IDF spokesperson Rear Admiral Daniel Hargini said at a press conference, according to Reuters, saying that he would not comment on the report. Iran state television interrupted its normal broadcast to announce his death. Mousavi led the coordination of the military alliance between Syria and Iran, which has sent hundreds of Revolutionary Guard members to Syria to train militia fighters from Iraq, Afghanistan, and Pakistan to fight opponents of Syrian dictator Bashar al-Assad's regime. Iranian state media described Mousavi... Oh yeah, let me just be clear, by the way, right? I'm just talking about the potentiality of spillover and how that concerns me. Because this is another potential point of escalation. Well, the violence has already killed over 20,000 people, according to the Gaza Ministry of Health. I know people don't like me using those numbers, but NGOs and other numbers that they have published in the past, NGOs, respectable NGOs, do say the numbers are pretty credible from its history of their reporting being accurate. And you know, you can just look at their previous reporting and see that it's been generally accurate and sometimes even pretty close to Israeli numbers. But the problem with the Gaza Ministry of Health numbers is they do not distinguish between civilians and militants. And so if they say 20,000 dead, that includes, assumedly, militants. And so if they're including militants in the death count, obviously there's a flawed system there. Anyway, where were we? Oh, but I just wanted to quickly say that this guy's a bastard, and I'm more concerned about this as a potential point of escalation. But when it comes to, like, did this guy get what he deserved? Yeah, basically. The guy got what he deserved. The dude helped organize the murder of, like, over hundreds of thousands of Syrians. I mean, this is just like the chickens coming home to roost. You play the game of international statecraft, organizing militias that murder thousands of people. I mean, how am I supposed to feel much sympathy if you end up getting murdered? But again, more concerned about this as a potential point of escalation. Iranian state media described him as a close companion of General Soleimani, the head of Iran's elite Quds force, who was slain in a U.S. drone strike in January of 2020. Iran-backed groups in Yemen, Lebanon, Syria, and Iraq have launched attacks on Israel as allies in support of Hamas. Clashes along the... Okay, we already know all this. Man. Iran's president, Raisi, in a statement said that Mousavi was martyred while serving as an advisor for the resistance front, defending holy shrines in Syria, as well as safeguarding Islamic ideas. What? For the resistance front to who? Was it resisting the Syrian people? Like, who? The civilians they threw in the death, resisting who? Whatever. Hosseini Akbari, Iran's ambassador to Syria, condemned the killing, saying that Mousavi was in Syria as a formal military advisor. Israel will definitely get a response to this crime at the right time in the right situation. This is the exact same thing they said after the Soleimani killing. Though IRNA didn't provide other details about the attack, the Syrian Observatory of Human Rights said the Israeli military targeted him after he entered a farm in the area, which allegedly was one of several offices for Hezbollah. The Lebanese militant group, alongside Iran and Russia, has played a key military role in keeping Assad in power. Anyway. Well, that's enough of that. But yeah, I'm more concerned about what the Iranians are going to do in response, and how that could spiral out into a regional conflict or regional escalation. Odds are against it, but the potential point of escalation is still there. There's still a bunch of reasons that Iran has stayed out of the conflict so far, and many of those reasons still stand for them to, stay out of the conflict. So the odds are still against them joining, but human error exists, and these are points of escalation that could spiral out the conflict. So again, the guy was a rat bastard. Okay, don't get me wrong. Right? This is the type of shit that he did. He did the type of shit that Henry Kissinger did. He just did it for the Iranians. Not saying that he had the same influence that Henry Kissinger did. They're not the same, but you get the idea of the organizing of some of America's dirtier secrets. That's what he also did in Syria for the Iranians. And so I don't really weep for him, but again, regional escalation.